kitchen. So many recipes to share. So many cooks in the kitchen with meals for you to prepare. We've got fruits and grains, veggies and beans, more healthy food than you've ever seen. So many cooks in the kitchen, plant-based meals to prepare. So many cooks in the kitchen with ideas we're happy to share.
Hello, Happy New Year. Welcome to the January show of So Many Cooks in the Kitchen. For those of you who've been with us for a while, you know we've been doing these shows since, I think, May 2020. It'll be 4 years soon. We come to you every month, kitchen to kitchen, and we share healthy, whole food, plant-based dishes. Today's theme is so many tempeh dishes. So let's get started. Let's talk about tempeh. Tempeh for some is a mystery. People have heard about tempeh and they're not sure what it is. Well, this is the tempeh, okay? And let me cook and talk. So let me go ahead and start the pan going. I'm going to turn my pan on. And the secret of cooking, and before it gets hot, I'm going to show you the pan. This is a high quality stainless pan. I'm going to add my tempeh and my various ingredients. Now before I started, while I was waiting for the show to begin, you optionally, you know we don't use oil in our cooking, right? This is one area with tempeh. If you don't use any oil whatsoever, then the tempeh will not brown very well. And so what I did just before the show is I put like 3 drops of olive oil. This is the first time since we started So Many Cooks in the Kitchen I've ever used oil. So I put a 1/4 teaspoon of olive oil. Then I used a paper towel and I gently wiped it. So there's a very, very thin layer of oil. It's an insubstantial amount of fat, insubstantial amount of oil, but it's enough so that we'll get a little browning in the tempeh. Okay. Let me actually show you. I also, while I was waiting before the show, I also browned some tempeh, and that's what you'll get. Now, if you don't own any oil because you've gone totally oil-free and don't have any oil, that's fine. Your tempeh may not turn out brown like this. And you can see both sides. And that's okay. The brownness is nice. It gives it a crispiness. Speaking of that, air frying doesn't work really well in my estimation. I've tried it a few times with tempeh. I've tried air frying tempeh with no oil whatsoever, and I've tried it with some liquid aminos or some coconut aminos. And it doesn't air fry as well as tofu. It's fine. It gives you some nice flavor, but it's not the best choice for air frying. So I haven't told you what tempeh is, but I'm going to start cooking it. Let me go ahead and look at my notes to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. So, and again, Happy New Year. This is our first show of the year. It seems like it's been a while since we've been together live. I'm just going to stir this occasionally. I hope some of you caught our holiday shows, and I wonder what you thought of that. we've been, that was our third year of doing holiday shows, and we have such a repertoire, we decided just to reprise some of them. So if you caught us in November and December, almost every week we had, I think it was 3 recipes, and I think one week we had 4 from past shows. So that gave us a break. It gave you a break from not watching a longer show, and we had something almost every week. So I hope that was useful, and if you want to share your thoughts on that, feel free to post. If you're watching this live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, we have folks who are watching and who can respond to questions. I can't see what you're saying, but after I'm done cooking, I'll be able to see, but my colleagues are watching. So tempeh is from Indonesia. It's a standard Indonesian food. I've never been to Indonesia, but I understand that tempeh in many forms is available as a street food, as a, in fine dining, as a quick dish, deep fried tempeh, which I've never had. It was neat. Recently, my daughter and I went to Alabama to visit Carolyn, and we went to a restaurant where it was all vegan, and they don't have a microwave or any frying, which was really nice. It was called Soul Vegetarian. I've been there a number of times. And we also went to an all-vegetarian, mostly vegan co-op called Sevananda, which also I've been to a number of times. So tempeh is a fermented soy product, and you can see, if you look at the tempeh, that it's made up of beans, typically soybeans, but you can get tempeh with other kinds of beans. There's a local tempeh maker who makes it out of lentils. And if I had time, it would have been nice to have included his tempeh. There's a local company. I'm in North Carolina, the Raleigh, Chapel Hill, Durham area of North Carolina. But about 4 or 5 hours west of me in the Asheville area, there's a woman who makes another tempeh, and I'm blanking on the name of it. So there's a lot of manufacturers. I'm using, I think, a fairly common brand, Light Life. Okay. So again, all I'm doing is I'm gently shifting the tempeh around over time on medium heat. It's made with soybeans. It can be made with other beans. It can even be made with wheat. So is it gluten-free? Look at the packaging. This one is gluten-free. It says it right here. But just because even if it's a soy-based tempeh, which is most tempeh, that doesn't necessarily mean it's gluten-free. So if you're very sensitive to gluten, sometimes the seasoning, you'll get flavored tempehs. There's tempeh bacon, for example. So the seasonings may not be gluten-free. And again, sometimes wheat is used. So tempeh likely is gluten-free, but not necessarily. So please check it out. A 3-ounce serving of tempeh, which is 1 serving, it depends on the brand you're using. So I looked at a few and came up with some averages. A 3-ounce serving of tempeh has 18 grams of protein, again, plus or minus, which is 20% of the recommended daily intake. 5 grams of fat, which is a little bit high, but not bad. And let me pause there and mention there are some brands of tempeh that look really good, but there's one brand, and I won't name it, which 1 serving is something like 24 grams of fat. And so I bought it, actually, before I was a Food for Life instructor. I forgot to mention all of us are Food for Life instructors. We offer classes, and you can go to fflclasses.org and see if there's a class in your area or an online class. And we teach evidence-based food and nutrition classes. And I didn't know that much before I was a Food for Life instructor about the problems with fat. Oh, look at how beautifully the tempeh is browning. I don't know if you can see that. I'm flipping my tempeh. And it'll taste good even if it doesn't brown, but when it browns, it's even nicer. It has kind of a nutty flavor. Let me put my notes down for a second. I'm going to flip the tempeh. The nice thing about letting it stay on one side for about 2 minutes or so is that you can tell which ones have been flipped, which ones haven't. Okay? Let me see if I can gently pick up one of the ones. Here we go. So if you take a look, this side is nice and brown. It's getting brown, and this side is not brown yet. And you can see there's a transition on the side. And at this point, I'm going to add some onion, and all the measurements are available in our recipe book. You can hear the onion sizzling. Absolutely no oil except for that tiny bit that I put on to coat the pan, but otherwise no oil. And the onions will cook just fine. They'll caramelize and all. I'm also going to add some vegetables. So here's my bell pepper. I have a variety of bell peppers chopped. maybe an inch long, something of that nature. So that goes in. I'd wait on the pepper. I probably could have put a little bit more pepper in because it'll give off moisture and it'll stop the tempeh from getting as crispy as it could get. The onion, by the way, is a Vidalia onion. Here's a Vidalia onion. I like sweet onions. You can use a yellow onion. I wouldn't use a white onion. It's a little bit too strong. You could use a red onion, and you can use more than one kind of onion. Maybe add the red onion near the end so you get two different flavors. Red onions taste a little bit different. The liquid also helps deglaze the pan. And you can see there's really not much sticking at all. You can see the pan has gotten a little bit brown there, which will clean right up. I can add other kinds of vegetables. I have some scallions, which I'm not going to use, but I wanted to show you the scallions. And sometimes we're lucky in the grocery store and we get baby leeks. I love baby leeks. They have a very nice flavor. A lot of people aren't familiar with leeks. They're fun to cook with. The one warning about leeks is they're filthy. All these leaves, dirt gets deposited easily. So what I do is I rinse it carefully and then I cut it this way and maybe even one more way. So we have quarters, and then I put it in a big pot and I put some water to get rid of the dirt. Okay? So I try to buy all organic, so if there's still a teeny bit of dirt left when you're done cleaning it, it's organic, so hopefully, it's not a big deal. Leeks go well with this. So what I would do is I'd cut the bottom off, all of it, the green and the white part goes great with this dish. But I'm not going to use it today. I'm just going to rely on the onion. And finally, you can use mushrooms. I'm not going to use mushrooms. You can get frozen mushrooms too. Mushrooms give off, as they cook, they give off moisture more so than the bell peppers would. So I would cook the mushrooms separately and then combine it. Or put the mushrooms in at the very end. And if you do it at the very end, chop the mushrooms more finely. Otherwise, chop them to, because they really cook down, maybe a ½ inch, maybe 3/8 of an inch, and cook them separately. Broccoli is an okay choice. Broccoli goes better with tofu. For some reason, it doesn't go so well, I think, with tempeh because of the textures. But if you want to use broccoli, then maybe chop it pretty fine. One thing I do like is baby bok choy, and I've already washed this, but when I cut it, I want to see if there's some remaining dirt. So I'm going to put a little bit of baby bok choy in. I'm going to cut the very bottom off. And I can use the bottom in a soup stock or something. And that looks pretty clean. So bok choy adds a nice crunch, and it's good to add it near the end of the cooking. Okay, the leaf and the root, all is good stuff. Okay, so there goes the bok choy. I can't remember the recipe if I mentioned how to cut the bok choy, but use your judgment. Let's do another piece. Think about bite size and what it would be like in your mouth. So, okay, so there we go. So I've used 2. I can use a couple more. This is a large baby bok choy. If it were a regular sized baby bok choy, then 1 bok choy would be more than enough, maybe even 1.5. But this is a really big one. So I'm going to go through maybe 3/4 of it. Okay, so I'm cutting it into a little bit more than ½ inch size pieces. And let's go with one last part. I'll stop there. I don't want the bok choy to cook for very long. Okay, there we go. And this is the time, if you want, you can add a little bit of coconut aminos, and that'll absorb into the tempeh. And basically just let it cook for another minute or 2. Let me look at my notes, see if there's anything I forgot to share with you about tempeh. So a 3-ounce serving of tempeh has about 18 grams of protein, 20% of the recommended daily intake, 5 grams of fat, 10% of what the recommended daily intake, the RDI of iron, 9% of calcium, 54% of manganese, and 28% of the fiber that's recommended. We recommend a higher amount of fiber, but according to the U.S. government, RDI is 28%. Now, this is a fermented product. What happens is the beans, typically the soybeans, they're put together and then a mold is injected. And that mold ferments and binds the cake together. And you can see it's pretty tight. That's the cake. It has prebiotics and probiotics, which are great for the gut microbiome. So it's a very healthy food from that point of view. Tofu is not a fermented food, but tempeh is. So you get the benefits of soy foods with tempeh, but you also get the fermentation benefits. It may reduce cholesterol, blood pressure, lower inflammation, promote bone health. And as opposed to, for some, tofu may create gas or bloating, that doesn't happen with tempeh. So if you've been staying away for whatever reason from tofu, maybe you feel that look at how nice and brown that's getting. If you feel that it's a little, if you get gas, look at that browning here. This is gorgeous. With an insignificant amount of oil. I'm very pleased with that. Okay. So that's it for the dish. I'm actually going to turn the heat off. I originally was thinking that I wouldn't eat it on camera, but I will. Okay. I forgot to, I'm not going to take the time to get my soy sauce or my coconut aminos. It goes great with this. And if you add it now, there's a splash, and I can scrape the pan, which you see how I'm scraping the pan, how it's cleaning up nicely? It would clean even nicer if I had the coconut aminos. Okay, but this is going to clean easily. I'm just going to put it under some water and soap, and it'll clean. So let me just put a little bit of my dish. Okay, there we go. Okay. This is a whole package of tempeh, and as a side dish, it should feed about 3 or 4 people. Okay, so let's take a look. The bok choy is really nice. The pepper looks like it's been grilled. Okay, there we go. It's so good. It's easy, quick, nutritious. There's no salt. People who like salt may want to add some salt. It really doesn't need any other spices. You can marinate your tempeh before cooking. It picks up some flavors, but it doesn't pick up flavors like tofu does. So I generally don't marinate tempeh. But I do like my coconut aminos. A little bit of that adds a saltiness and adds a nice flavor. So I would recommend that. A little hot sauce goes well with that too. So that's my dish. Next is going to be Susanna Dickman, who's going to be making a tempeh bacon. You can find in the store various pre-made tempeh bacons. I'm looking forward to what Susanna does with hers. And as I mentioned, there's many brands of tempeh. So don't be scared of tempeh. It's easy to work with. And I forgot to mention, if you don't want to saute it, it doesn't taste great raw in my mind. Some people like it raw. I like tofu raw. But if you chop it and mix it in with a marinara sauce, that, I think, is good, and I do that occasionally, and I put that with pasta. So that's another good use of tempeh instead of sautéing it. I wanted to mention that just a week and a half or so ago, for the first time, Carolyn, Cody, and I all met. We all got together, and we went on a lovely cruise. The cruise was called the Health Optimization Cruise, and it was the first such cruise, and we had a great time. And I'm going to try, when we're done, to show a quick video clip of us on the cruise. So hopefully that'll work out. And if the video doesn't play, I just wanted to acknowledge that. And I wanted to mention Cody, Carolyn, and I do plant-based immersions. And pretty soon we'll have dates for this summer's, at least one immersion, maybe 2. So check it out. We'll let you guys know too. Check out this wonderful hallway. Never guess where I am. On a cruise in the middle of the Caribbean. And I'm with Carolyn Strickland, another cook in the kitchen.
Hey.
And that's cool, but we've been together before, but you know what else is cool? Guess who else is here?
Well, hi guys.
First time the 3 of us have been together. So 3 cooks in the kitchen,
Right.
and we're all on a cruise.
We're on a cruise together.
And guess who else is with us?
Where'd you go? There she comes. Our fashion model, Ava.
We have one of the kids in the kitchen, so.
Hi. We are. It's so many cooks in the kitchen. Actually, so many cooks on a cruise.
Hey guys, it's been so wonderful to meet you guys in person.
I know, finally, after seeing each other virtually for the past almost 4 years.
We've met each other, and we've known each other for quite a few years.
Right,
It's the
and
first
we
time.
met each other last year, but you weren't there.
That's right. First time all 3 of us have been together, and we're on a very nice cruise. We're talking about plant-based eating. We've been doing some teaching and cooking demonstrations. It's been great.
Yeah, it's good.
Fantastic.
great, Dilla. Your tempeh and vegetables look so delicious. I can't wait to make your recipe. Hi, everyone. I'm Susanna Dickman from Evansville, Indiana. You can follow me at Eat Plants Be Well, both on Facebook and my website. I'd love for you to check out my website and subscribe and possibly take one of my online classes. So when we decided to use tempeh as our main star this afternoon with our recipes, I was so glad. I've been reading Dr. Greger's new book, How Not to Age, and oh man, it is just filled with so much information, and I am learning so much. But one of the things, I also saw a segment of Dr. Greger on Zoom where he was asked the question, what has he changed in his diet since doing all his research for his book, How Not to Age? And one of the things he said was he is increasing his consumption of tempeh. And there are two reasons for that. One is, and I hope I say this right, tempeh contains a longevity vitamin called ergothymine. Okay, that's a big word. I think I got it right. And so, ergothymine helps reduce our aging process. And also for women, as women age, men too, you become, bones get weaker, and oftentimes women, it's not that your hip breaks and then you fall, it's that, or that you fall and break your hip, it's that your hip breaks and then you fall. So tempeh also, a lot of the research has shown that eating tempeh often can reduce your risk of bone fracture by as much as 40%. So it's just perfect timing that we're highlighting this wonderful food to eat. And I'm excited that you're going to see so many different ways to prepare tempeh. So what I am making today is tempeh bacon. And I have been making this recipe since my family and I became vegan over 12 years ago. It was just something that, we loved and we make often, and it's just so good. And the reason I have this nice pot here is when I first started making tempeh, I didn't know, no one told me, I didn't find anywhere that it was best to steam your tempeh. And so what I did, I'm just going to take out my steamer here. It's not hot anymore. It's finally cooled off. But I'm not going to be able to get that out. So what I did was, the tempeh comes in this package right here. This is a brand that I get at my local store. And it just looks like this. It is just one chunk. And so I cut it in half and I put it in the steamer and I steamed it for about 10 to 15 minutes. It's still a little warm. But I find when I steam it, it doesn't have an aftertaste. I always felt like I liked tempeh, but I didn't like it that as much. And then when I finally, and I don't remember where I saw it, but somebody said steam it, it was a game changer for me. I was like, okay, I want to add this to my diet often. So I have steamed it, and what I'm going to do is make my marinade, and then I will cut it, and I will show you how it looks. You can see here we made a TLT, a tempeh lettuce and tomato sandwich. So in here I have a couple of tablespoons of vegetable broth. I use the low sodium vegetable broth. I'm going to use the liquid aminos. You can also use tamari if you want. And I am going to add 3 tablespoons of that. What's a little bit more, but that's okay. I'm going to add a tablespoon of maple syrup just to give it that little sweetness. And then I'm going to add, and I gotta shake up my apple cider vinegar. I'm going to add a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. Okay. And some liquid smoke. We prefer the hickory liquid smoke, but you can use any kind that you want. Let me just get a towel here to wipe off my spill there. Okay. So I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of liquid smoke. I find that makes just the best kind of smoky flavor that my family likes. You know, what I like about this recipe, if you like it more smoky, you can add a little more. If you'd like it a little sweeter, you can add a little more. It's totally up to you. In here, I just have a teaspoon of onion powder, garlic powder, and a half a teaspoon of smoked paprika. And I did not bring a fork, so let me go grab one really quick. And we're just gonna whisk this a little bit, because this is all that we're going to use for our saute or our marinade. I like to marinate this overnight. Okay, you want to do it at least 4 or 5 hours, but overnight is best because, like tofu, tempeh just soaks up the flavors. It really doesn't have much of a flavor by itself. So now all I'm going to do, I'm going to cut them into, you know, not too thick. You can probably make them a little bit thinner, but sometimes I will make it a little bit thicker cutting, and then I will cut it after I cook it. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to cut it and then just lay it in my pan for marinade. And like I said, marinating overnight is best. The longer you marinate, the better the flavor. So let me just line this up. And these little pieces I just put in there, or sometimes I just eat them because they're good. They're good. It really does. I can't, I was amazed when I started steaming my tempeh at how flavorful it became. Oops, my little piece of tempeh bacon fell off. Okay, so let me go ahead and put this in. After we marinate, we're going to let this cook for at a 300-degree oven, so I don't use a high temperature because I really want it to, you know, I want it to kind of slow cook. I don't want it very high. So I know typically, and I'm just going to pour this over, it's gonna look like there's too much, but when you soak this overnight, you're going to see that it's going to, a lot of it's gonna be absorbed, okay? If there is some marinade left, I'm just gonna go ahead and turn it over. If there is some marinade left, then what I'll do is I'll put it in the oven at 300 degrees, and then I will go ahead and cook it for 10 minutes, and then I'll turn it over, and then I'll also take some of that extra marinade and pour it on. Typically, I'll do 10 minutes, another 10 minutes, 2 or 3 times. So I'll do 10 minutes, flip it, another 10 minutes, and then I'll do 10 minutes that side, and then I'll flip it, do another 10 minutes, up to 30, sometimes 35 minutes, depending on if you want it crunchy or tender. But that's it. So this is gonna get covered with some parchment paper or press and seal and go in my fridge, and tomorrow morning I'm going to go ahead and bake it. So let me put that there, and I want to show you the finished product. Oops. And you can see here, you know, it's quite a bit darker than our other tempeh because it has absorbed all the marinade, and also because it's been cooked, so it's brown. But here is my BLT. I'm gonna go ahead and flip this over there. and cut it. I'm gonna try to cut it a little fancy on a diagonal. We like to use our tempeh bacon 4 TLTs, tempeh lettuce and tomato sandwiches, but doesn't that look good? I did put some mustard on there. You can put mayo or whatever kind of sauce you want, but I went ahead and put mustard on there. You can, sometimes we like to make pancakes and have some tempeh bacon. Sometimes I know there are, Vegan Richa has a omelet that she makes with mung beans. So, you know, any, for breakfast, for lunch, just in a wrap. I've been enjoying lavash wraps, and I will put my tempeh and everything in there with some other veggies. So, all right. Well, I hope you enjoy making some tempeh bacon soon. And remember, you know, Dr. Gerber says eat more tempeh because it's good to keep you, you know, we're all going to get older, but we don't have to become sick and age in poor health. So we can age in good health. Thanks for watching. I appreciate that you guys spend your Saturdays with us. And Jonna, it's all yours. I can't wait to see what you're going to be doing with tempeh. Bye, everyone.
Merhaba, everybody, and welcome to my kitchen in Abu Dhabi. I'm back again. Thank you, Susanna, for introducing me, and your recipe sounds amazing. I'm going to have to try. I never made tempeh bacon, but it would be a good one to try. So our topic is tempeh, and I have my way of cooking it, one simple way. I'm going to share that with you. Behind me, you can see that the tempeh has been simmering for a while. It's been about 15-20 minutes. I'm going to soon take it out. When I first had tempeh, it wasn't love at first bite. I didn't like the flavor. And then during cooking school, I was doing the Ruby Online plant-based professional cooking course, where they taught us that simmering it or steaming it would take that first unusual flavor that is out and make it actually more ready to accept other flavors. So I took to simmering. I really like that way, and I believe Susanna was showing that she steams it. So you see my tempeh. This is half of what's over there. I sliced it like this to make it two thinner slices, and basically I serve them one per person, pan seared in a nice way, and that's it. I'm gonna now turn the heat off and take my tempeh pieces out. Here they are. I put them on some kitchen towel to dry them a bit. Normally I have more time, but I just wanted to show it. I let it dry a bit more so that it's easier when you put it on the stove top. I have been warming this one up. This pan, it's a non-stick pan that I use, and I basically then take my normally dry slices. Maybe you can hear the sizzling. And I put them on the already warmed up pan. I let them sizzle for a bit, and the chicken, it's on medium high, but the pan has already been warmed. I let it sizzle a few minutes on each side, and then sometimes I put a little bit of soy sauce, which is here. And then when I serve it with mustard on the side. And so I like dipping it in mustard. Or sometimes I make a wonderful mushroom sauce and I put the mushroom sauce over it. And one of my favorite ways, which I wanted to show today but couldn't because I don't have nutritional yeast at home, horrors. I just got back and I'm trying to get my pantry up to par. I was in Italy for 10 weeks at our other house. So normally I would make a breading with crushed dry bread. I tried to make it at home. You can also buy panko or something. Mix that with nutritional yeast, salt and pepper, other seasonings that you like. You can make it a little spicy or not, and put it on your tempeh and pan fry it with the breading. Now, don't know if you can see it, but they're turning nice and golden brown. I can't, I don't know if I'm showing it properly. And that's basically it. You pan fry them until both sides are nicely golden brown, and then you're done. So it's a very easy thing. In the simmering water, you can make it completely just plain water, or you can put a bouillon cube if you like, some veggie stock. In an emergency, I used a tiny bit of garlic powder and a tiny bit of onion powder and a bay leaf, because bay leaf has such a wonderful flavor. Here's my bay leaf. So it simmered in this flavorful liquid for about 20 minutes, and now it's in the pan. It's sizzling. That's it. I'm sure all my colleagues are talking about the health benefits of tempeh. I printed a whole wonderful info sheet from, I think it's called tempeh.info, and I recommend you to go check it out because it's really impressive. It's high in fiber per 100 grams, very low in calories, high in calcium, high in protein. It's a fermented food, so it's much more digestible form of soy. And by the way, when I was in Italy a few weeks ago, I found chickpea tempeh, and that was also quite yummy. And it's got a good amount of selenium. It's got really good B vitamins, no B12. I own very little, not a reliable source. High in minerals as well. So check this out, tempeh.info. And another thing I was checking was the temperature in Omaha, Nebraska, because next will be Cody. And it says that it was minus 16 centigrade. And I'm happy to inform you that we are at a balmy 23 degrees centigrade here in Abu Dhabi, where winters are wonderful. Let me turn this. See, you can now see that it's getting that nice golden brown look to it. Maybe you can see the little brown and golden speckles. That's it, really. It's very, very easy. That's my easy favorite way of using tempeh. So thank you for your patience waiting for me to cook my tempeh. And I want to hand it over to Cody now in Omaha, Nebraska. Bye from Abu Dhabi and zipping over way, way west and north.
Well, thanks, John. Thank you for your demonstration. And so yeah, I'm in cold Omaha, Nebraska. Let me tell you, it's been the negative degrees, so it's really cold. So first of all, I want to let you know, and I want to apologize, I could not find any unseasoned tempeh. I looked all over the West Omaha area, could not find any. But what I did find, Susanna might find this interesting, is that I found some tempeh that is smoky bacon flavored. So it's pre-seasoned or pre-marinated. And so I thought I'd pick this up and just show this to you guys that you can buy it already prepared. You just would have to heat it up. Now, one thing about getting something like this that's already pre-seasoned is you really have to watch the sodium level on this. Um, Instead of making it at home where you can control the sodium levels a lot more, this actually has an alarming 700 milligrams of sodium per serving. And a serving is 2 slices of this tempeh bacon. So just keep that in mind. If you're buying the pre-seasoned, it's actually healthier to make your own and then use Susanna's recipe for that. I'm going to do this and just try a couple pieces just to give it a go and give it a try. I haven't tried them yet, but that way at least I can say that I've tried it. So anyway, I was really bummed out not to be able to do my cooking demonstration for you guys, but we do have the recipe posted. It's a barbecue sauce, and let's see, you're just going to put all those ingredients together, and it's like ketchup and some garlic and onion and little Dijon mustard and some low sodium soy sauce, or you could do like coconut aminos. That has a really low sodium amount to it as well. And then you could do a little dash of like liquid smoke and black pepper and whisk it all up. And then you can slice up your tempeh just like Susanna did. And then you can marinate it in there or dip it in there. And then I just get a hot pan and you lay those on there after you've been coated them with the barbecue sauce. And you just kind of cook them on the frying pan. And you can do just a little tiny little layer of oil, just very thin, and wipe it off like Dilip showed you. Put those pieces down, and you're going to heat those up probably like a medium temperature until it just starts to turn brown, or as brown as you like, but you got to watch it. You don't want them to burn. You don't want them to be black. And then once those are all cooked on both sides, then you can put it on like a whole wheat, whole grain sandwich bun if you want, with like some lettuce and then whatever other toppings that you want with that. Sliced tomatoes is good. And so that's my demo, which I didn't do really. I just talked you through it because I don't have any tempeh. But thank you for listening. And if you have any questions, please post them, because we are going to have some great giveaways today in just a little bit here. So now I'm going to hand it on over to Montgomery, Alabama, where Carolyn is waiting to share her wonderful recipe. Hi, Carolyn.
Hey, Cody, how are you? Long time no see, right?
I know, right? I wish we were in warmer weather right now.
It's not that warm here. It's 36, so that's pretty cold for Montgomery, Alabama. I know that would feel like a heat wave to you, but that's it's really cold here. So and it was actually down to, I think, 19 or 20 or something last night. That is very cold for Montgomery, Alabama. So it's I'm glad I'm not where you are for that. I don't really like cold weather. So very happy to be here, but it's cold. So seems like it's cold all over the whole country. I'm sorry you couldn't get tempeh. I should have sent you some. I wish I could have gotten that in overnighted it to you really fast, because I actually found just one brand here at my grocery store, but I mean, it's better than nothing. So I should have sent you some.
Yeah, I just assumed it was going to be easy to find at the store, and it just wasn't this week for some reason. So
I understand. I was actually kind of wondering, am I going to be able to find any? So luckily Publix had it here in Montgomery, but just one kind. This isn't, I don't think I've used Light Life before, but this was all they had. So grabbed it. But anyway, all right. So I'm in Montgomery, Alabama, and today I'm making tempeh meatloaf, which sounds kind of crazy, but it's really very good. What we're going to use, like I said, is this Light Life tempeh, which I've never used this brand before, but we're going to give it a try. So it says it actually has 18 grams of protein in a serving. That's quite a bit, and 6 grams of fiber. Cool. Okay. So the first thing I did was get out 1 cup of quick cooking oats, or some people call them instant oats. If you don't have quick cooking or instant oats, you can make it yourself. It's really easy. And in fact, that's what I did, because I didn't have quick or instant oats. So what I did was just take
whole rolled oats and stick it in my blender and pulse it for maybe 6 or 7 times, 5, 6 times. You don't want it ground up into oat flour. You still want to see pieces of oat, but maybe just pulse it 5 or 6 times, and then you have the instant or quick cooking oats. All you're doing is breaking up the oats. So I did that and then measured it out to make sure it was 1 cup. And I'm going to go ahead and add that to my bowl. Okay, so I'm adding it to the bowl. And then the next thing we need to do is go ahead and grate the tempeh. So I have here a box grater. And I know some people refer to this as a cheese grater, but instead refer to it as a tempeh grater. This is a tempeh grater, and it's perfect for what we're trying to do here. So I'm actually not going to steam it ahead of time. I'm not doing anything to the tempeh ahead of time because it's going to get coated with and mixed with all kinds of really yummy ingredients and then put in the oven for a while. So when you open your tempeh, be careful when you open it out of the first layer of packaging, because there's usually, depending on the brand, another layer of packaging underneath. So you don't want to accidentally grate up the plastic cover into your tempeh. So make sure you get the next layer of coating off. And then I'm using the box grater to just gently grate it up like you would a block of almond-based cheese or soy cheese. All right. So it's going to come out in these nice little pieces. The cool thing about tempeh is you can actually see the soybeans in it. So basically what we're doing is breaking it all apart again. All right. You could crumble it with your hands too, but I kind of like the texture this gives you because it comes out just a little bit finer and in nice shreds, which is kind of what we're going for here. Okay, and I got to watch my fingers near the end of this. And when you get down to the end of it, if you don't want to scrape, this isn't a very sharp box grater, so it's okay. But when you get down to the end, you could just crumble up what's left with your fingers so you don't hurt yourself. Okay, and then let's get the bowl out again, and we're going to put all of this shredded tempeh into the bowl. Okay. There's a bunch of it under there. Oh, all right, so we don't want to leave out any of the yummy tempeh. Make sure it all gets off of here. Okay. And then from here, the rest of the ingredients are just easy peasy. So we're going to get my cutting board out of the way. And from here, we're going to add 1 small onion, diced up. And then we have 4 tablespoons, also known as 1/4 cup of ketchup. And I went with organic ketchup. You could find low sodium ketchup if you want to. It does add kind of a nice flavor to it. If you'd rather use tomato paste, you could do that. And then 2 tablespoons of mustard. So I'm using this yellow mustard. You could, if you want to get fancy with it, go with stone ground or a Dijon or a Grey Poupon or one of those. But just 2 tablespoons of whatever kind of mustard you want to use. And for the basic recipe, the easiest to find ingredients, it's just yellow mustard. And then we have either low sodium soy sauce or coconut aminos or liquid aminos. So coconut aminos look like this. Liquid aminos, Bragg's liquid aminos is an option, or you could use a low sodium soy sauce. So in this case, I'm using coconut aminos. It's just a couple of tablespoons of coconut aminos. And then 3 tablespoons of nutritional yeast. Okay, and 1 tablespoon of Italian seasoning. And then here's where you have some choices to make. So we're trying to give it kind of a meaty, smoky flavor. So you could use smoked paprika. You could use liquid smoke. There's also something called browning sauce, which I'm not really sure traditionally what that was used for. I'm assuming with meat, but I don't cook that, so I'm not really sure. But I know browning sauce itself is actually vegan. So what I did when I made an earlier version of this was use kind of half smoked paprika and half liquid smoke. So it's a half a teaspoon of something smoky. So let's just go with the smoked paprika. Okay. That looks like half a teaspoon. Okay, so then we're going to mix it all together. This is the fun part. So we'll make sure all those ingredients get mixed around and really well coated. So I already made one earlier, and it sure smelled good. And it made me so hungry smelling it baking because it smelled incredible. This actually smells good too. The mix of ingredients in here, it just smells so good. One of the things we like to eat this with is mashed potatoes and maybe some kind of sauteed greens or green beans on the side and a big salad. You could make a gravy, or if you want to, something I like to do is cover it with a little barbecue sauce before I bake it. Kind of reminds me of the meatloaf my mother used to make when I was little. I think she put tomato sauce on it, actually. Now that I think about it, I don't think it was barbecue sauce. I'll have to ask her about that. Or if you're watching, Mom, put that in the comments. I'm not sure what you put on top of it. But, of course, that wasn't tempeh meatloaf. But okay, so now it looks like it's all really well coated with all the ingredients really well mixed together. I don't see any dry spots. Okay, and then I'm just going to gently scoop it into a prepared pan. So I've lined a regular bread pan with parchment paper, and I kind of cut it to fit. So you can see I just took a rectangular shape and then cut some little slits so it fits right down inside, like that. That way you don't have to grease the pan. You can just put it right on top of the parchment paper. And then I'm just going to scoop it in. Get all of it here into the pan. I'm just going to dump it right in. And it looks loose and crumbly now, but we're going to press it in and all the way into the corners and make it come out nice and compact. And it actually really does hold together very well once you bake it. So it'll be going in a 350-degree oven for about, I would go with 30 minutes, I would say. 25 to 35 minutes is what I wrote on the recipe. I usually go about 30 to 32 minutes. Okay, get all of that yummy goodness off of the spoon. Okay, and then I'm just going to press it down into the pan using the back of my spoon. So you can see this. Let me switch. Okay, so we're pressing it down, as you can see, into the back, into the corners. There we go. So get it all the way into the corners, evenly as you can get it, all the way around. And you can even use your fingers to kind of flatten it out a little bit. You might want to wet your fingers first so it doesn't stick so much. Okay. And then at this point, if you want to, you could put barbecue sauce on it or maybe a little tomato sauce, or just do it like this. This is fine too. This is perfectly fine to keep it bare like that. And it's going to go in the oven. So the first thing we need to do, though, before it goes in the oven, one of those things would be heat up the oven to 350. But we also want to let it rest for about 5 or 10 minutes before you put it in the oven. And if anybody, and I know the reason for that, but I'm wondering if anybody else does. So if you think you know the reason that we're going to let it sit and rest for a little bit before going in the oven, put it in the comments. What's your best guess? And it could be just while you're heating the oven up. Let me rinse this stuff off my hands. Okay, so not sure if anybody's commented. The reason is because you want the oats to not be really dry when it goes in the oven. You want the oats to soak up some of the liquid and the flavor in it. And so they're not just crunchy oats when it comes back out. You want it to be nice and moist all the way through. So Okay, so I'm going to show you the finished version. Let me get my cutting board back out. And we'll slice a piece and see if my husband likes it. All right, now it's not huge. It's not going to come up like a loaf of bread. Okay, so it's going to stay kind of flat, but you'll get these nice little pieces that you can serve with gravy or extra barbecue sauce and some mashed potatoes. Let me cut off a little piece for my husband. And a little bite. It should be pretty good. Am I feeding you? Okay. Let's see. That's really good. And I know sometimes tempeh can be a little bitter, but this doesn't have any of that bitter quality to it because it's had all those different seasonings and it sat for a little while before it went in the oven. So the seasoning was able to kind of soak into all the tempeh and all the oats. And then, oh, it's really great on a meatloaf sandwich too. If you want to make a tempeh, he wants more. Standing here jumping up and down for more. Okay, there we go. It's really good. Makes a great sandwich. Makes a really good dinner with mashed potatoes and gravy and green beans. So give it a try. And then we are going to go back to Dilip for Q&A. Make sure you ask a question because you'll be entered in the drawing today. But you have to ask a question during Q&A. Hey, Dilip.
Hi, Carolyn. Hi, Cody.
Hello again.
Hello.
All right. So it's some good questions have been coming in. Let me just turn off the background. There, that's better. So welcome, everybody, and I apologize for the technical issue. This has never happened before, where we normally stream to Facebook and YouTube and Twitter, and Twitter and YouTube are working, but Facebook isn't. So I know some of you I recognize are usually on our Facebook feed. Looks like you moved over to YouTube. I don't know what's going on. So later on we'll follow up with StreamYard. But welcome. I think we have some new viewers this time, at least one new viewer. If you're new, then we've been doing these shows. Cody, how long have we been doing these shows?
Over 3 years, right? About, yeah. 4, right? Almost 4. Started in May 2020.
That's right. And so we do this every month. And Cody, do you want to talk about what is So Many Kids in the Kitchen?
Yeah, so Dilip and I and our other Food for Life instructor friend, Ella Rodriguez, all of our kids are together. So there's 6 of them total. And so Dilip's daughter, New, my 3 daughters, Ava, Ella, and Nora. And then Ella Rodriguez's daughter, Mia, and her son, Max. So they all get together about every other month and they do a kids cooking show, and it's vegan, whole food, plant-based as well. And a lot of times it's their own recipes that they use, which is a lot of fun. So they've done this since, let's see, it was like the summer of 2020, and they've become really good friends. So yeah, it's been really fun to see them grow up together.
We've all become really good friends. So I was lucky to already know Carolyn. But Cody, it was remarkable with you because we ended up connecting through this and became very close friends. And we didn't meet till 2 years into into knowing each other.
Yeah.
So I have to say that Cody's daughter, Ava, came on the cruise. She's in public speaking in her school, so she was able to get time off. And she gave a fabulous talk. She was self-confident, appropriately so, and she was presenting to doctors and everybody was adults. Many of them were, all of them were much older than she was, and she took it with great grace and did a great job. So you should. We all are very proud of her.
She was fantastic.
She was very good. So this is the point where we take, I have some questions, and maybe Carolyn and Cody do too, but any questions you have from now on, and Cody, would you be willing to write the names down as questions come in, please?
Sure.
So this isn't really a question, but Sandra, turn it into a question. You can be in the drawing. We're giving away a book about soy foods and a magazine subscription to Veg News, which is a really cool, slick magazine. But Sandra has a comment. Hello, Sandra. Hello, Sandy, Sandra Cohen Montgomery. Have enjoyed learning about whole food plant-based cooking from Carolyn and Dr. Strickland. She teaches great fitness classes at the Y2. I'm interested now to try tempeh. I'm glad you said that because tempeh, And I just wanted to throw this out there too. It's not that Tempe's that difficult to find, but Cody's been going through some really bad snow, and so the supplies have been disrupted. So Tempe should be available in many grocery stores, definitely in better stores, and a lot of people don't know what to do with it. I guess I'm lucky because I've been using Tempe for so long. I love it. The problem with Tempe is that kids generally don't like it because it's kind of bitter. But anyhow, the question here was okay. So Sandra is acknowledging Carolyn is a great teacher, and here's our first question from Annette. So let's write Annette's name down and write number one. She's the first one. So Annette, if and welcome to our show, Annette. I'm glad that you're joining us. If you would cook the loaf at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, what would the temperature be in a convection oven? See what Carolyn has
Oh,
to say about that.
yeah. So I have a convection oven, but it automatically converts. So I don't. That's a really good question. Yeah, I'll have to do some. Let
Generally
me
about
think about
25, but generally about 25 degrees less. When you're using
left.
convection,
Yeah,
then yeah.
exactly,
So if it's
exactly.
350, I would go with 325.
And you could really hardly mess this up because you can eat tempeh like it is out of the package. You don't have, it's not going to hurt you. So there's nothing in it. It's not raw eggs or anything that's going to hurt you. So what you're looking for is for it to get this nice golden, coating to it. And I probably would go at least half an hour at maybe 325, but you want it to smell really good and have this nice crispy coating and start turning sort of golden. So if you don't put the barbecue sauce on it, it's going to turn kind of a golden brown and smell really good.
Lots of good questions coming in. I have to apologize for Susanna. After her cooking, something happened with her internet, so she's been sending me some text messages. She was supposed to be in the Q&A, and there's some issue with her internet. But she did. I did text her this question that, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing your name. Hayuni Park. I'm assuming you're from Korea, by the way. I've been to Korea and I love your country. I have a good friend in Seoul and had such a good time in Korea. So I'm guessing Park is typically a Korean name. So if you're Korean, I'd love to visit again. I had such a good time in Korea. Bibimbap is great. So Hayuni is asking, this is for Susanna. In the tempeh bacon, you used apple cider vinegar. Is that instead of vegetable broth or either? It was a mistake. She had meant to say broth. There's no vinegar. It should be broth, is what she said. So thanks for asking that. And we'll put Hayuni as in the offing for a prize.
Got it.
Bonnie has a question. I remember the bitter taste when I tried tempeh. Is simmering the best way to get rid of that taste? Would steaming have the same effect? Simmering won't really change the bitter taste much. Maybe Carolyn disagrees, but I've
Yeah.
heard, I just like the taste, so I don't do anything about it, but I've heard steaming really helps. Karen Osborne usually joins the shows, and she couldn't this time. She's like, I like to say all of us know a lot about food and nutrition, and we're all experts in different ways. But I have to say, Karen is the expert on ingredients. Wouldn't you guys agree? She's very, very knowledgeable. So she always steams her tempeh.
I do
Um,
too, actually, because it opens up kind of, for a lack of a better way to put it, it opens up the pores in it and makes it more able to accept other flavors that you're putting into it. So it's not that it gets rid of bitter, but it makes it where the pores open up and it accepts marinades and infuses it with more flavor that kind of covers up the bitterness. I don't really think you can actually get rid of the bitter, but
and this
steaming
is
helps.
related to Krista's question. Let's add Krista to the list. Is it best to steam the tempeh first? So again, you guys, if you've been watching for any length of time, you know I'm a lazy cook. I do the same thing in my math classes. I tell my kids, you want to do, solve problems in an efficient way, as as quickly as you can. Be lazy in math too. So I guess by nature I'm lazy. I guess so. I don't steam my tempeh. I just like the flavor as is. But I've heard if you steam it that 5 or 6 minutes is probably sufficient. Um, and this other question also came in, and this is from Bonnie. How long? And I don't know if Carolyn or Cody, you have any additional input, but 5 or 6 minutes I think should be sufficient. And
Yes. And the other thing I was going to point out, the other thing you can do to help change the bitterness of it is crumble it up and put it in a pan with some vegetable broth, or what I like to use is that Better Than Bouillon chicken flavored vegan chicken broth. And then keep it low sodium, just add a little bit to your water, bring it up to a simmer, and then just crumble up the tempeh into it, and then cook it as long as it takes for all the liquid to get absorbed. And that actually really helps change the flavor of it too. If you just don't like the bitterness of it, that's how I make my tempeh chicken salad. Is I crumble it up, cook it with some of that chicken flavored broth, let it completely absorb after, it's going to take 5 or 10 minutes on a simmer to get all of that liquid absorbed into it. Let it sit aside, get, cool down. And then I make chicken salad out of it, which is really, really good. So that was my other option today, was making the meatloaf or the chicken salad. I went with meatloaf because it's cold out. So
You're going to have to send me your chicken salad recipe, Carolyn.
it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Let's add Wendy Peterson to the list, and in a short while we will do a drawing, and if you win, we'll ask you to email us your mailing address, not post it on social media, but to mail it to us. Okay, so here's a question from Gigi, and I don't recognize your name, so perhaps you're new to the show as well. Can tempeh be used in place of beans in a bean burger recipe? That sounds good.
That's an
I've not
interesting
done-
idea. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would crumble it up first. Crumble it up. Yeah, and then sure, try it.
Yeah.
Play with your food. Play with your food.
I wanted
not?
to interject something, and Carolyn, you should respond as well, because I disagree with you about one thing. You talked about marinating. I find marination works great with tofu. I find it doesn't work with tempeh. I've done it. I haven't done it for years, so maybe I should try it again, because I never got additional flavor. But
So it
tempeh
works
isn't a
better
sponge.
after you steam it.
Chop
Steam
it.
it first, then marinate it.
Okay, yeah, all right. So I've never done that.
There you go. Steam it. Cut it in cubes and steam it, and then marinate the cubes, and you'll get so much more flavor infused in it than if you didn't steam them first.
Krista asks, I know tempeh is good for gut health. Does cooking it lose those benefits? So tempeh, soy foods are so full of nutrition that, so it is true, when you add heat to food, you do denature proteins and you do start to reduce some nutrition. And if you're cooking it in moisture, you may lose some of the water soluble vitamins. One good counterexample, of course, is tomatoes. As you cook tomatoes, the nutrition improves, except for the vitamin C.
The lycopene
lycopene
improves a lot. Your
are more
ability
bio-
to absorb the lycopene, it's more absorbable when it's cooked.
Right.
Yep.
So, Krista, go ahead and cook your tempeh. I find, so Carolyn mentioned eating tempeh out of the container. I don't like raw tempeh. I like raw tofu. I think you do too, right, Cody? You like raw tofu.
Nora does.
Nora does. Okay, I like raw tofu.
Also known as vegan cheese, right?
Carolyn has a great story about that. Sandra, I guess she's one of your fitness students, asks, and let's add Sandra to the list.
Hey,
Can
Sandy.
you use tempeh in soups?
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah, but you might want to add it closer to the end and not let it cook for a really long time, because it will fall apart. So it might be best to take some cubes and pan sear them or air fry them or roast them or something in whatever flavor you want, and then kind of toss them in at the end. Probably when you would add greens, then add the tempeh too. That'd be really good.
Rochelle asks the question, I remember a Food for Life instructor saying to always marinate the tempeh. Does that give it a better flavor? So we were just talking about that. I guess if you steam it first, but if you don't steam it, then you're not going to pick up much marinade. So do you feel that it makes a big difference, Carolyn, in your
Yes.
flavor?
Yes. A huge difference. Yes.
Okay.
Very much. I think I did a tempeh dish. What show did we do? Maybe it was appetizers. Did we do an appetizer
so,
show?
yeah.
Maybe in our first year. I think I did tempeh bites that were marinated tempeh bites, where I took cubes, steamed them, marinated them, and then when they were finished marinating, tossed them in barbecue sauce and then rolled them in chopped nuts. And they were crunchy little nutty tempeh bites. They were fabulous. So, and it's much better if you steam them first.
One of my recipes, so I host the country's biggest vegan Thanksgiving, and we've had a number of years, we've had a recipe of mine where what I do is I dredge the tempeh in maybe some oat milk or some soy milk or almond milk, and then and then some cherry. So get some cherry juice, squeeze some cherry juice, and then put some small pieces of macadamia nut on the outside and air fry it. So it's a cherry-kissed macadamia encrusted tempeh. We've had that at Thanksgiving. So
sounds very good.
Yeah.
Cody and Carolyn, when are you guys coming to Thanksgiving?
I would love to. That would be great.
That'd be
I have
fun.
to figure that out. I don't know.
Linda Pittman, let's add her to the list of questions.
Hey, Linda.
Chicken salad sounds good. What's your recipe for chicken salad?
Yeah, I've got it right here somewhere. I was actually just looking at it. Yeah. So first, like I said, you cook it in a pan on the stove with some of that vegan chicken broth, and let it absorb all that flavor and get really plump. It actually plumps up. It's interesting to watch, but the tempeh gets softer and plumper, and then let it sit aside till it's cool. And then I use either my homemade mayo or the Follow Your Heart the reduced fat mayo, a little mustard, some celery, sometimes walnuts or pecans, grapes, pepper, garlic powder, kind of like you would with, regular chicken salad. I just replace it with tempeh. So it's delicious. And my daughter Molly loves my tempeh chicken salad. So it's very good.
Great question from Sandra Cohen. So I think she's already on the list. Can you make desserts from tempeh? I don't think so, but
No, it's very savory. I would not make a dessert with tempeh. Nope. Now you can make desserts from tofu, but I probably wouldn't try it with tempeh. I can't imagine what could we make that was a dessert. That would be interesting.
Carolyn, would you commit over the next day or two to post your vegan chicken salad recipe on So Many Cooks Facebook page? Yeah.
Yes.
Again, we don't know why we didn't stream to Facebook. We can post to Facebook, and we'll try to figure out
It's very
why.
strange. That's really weird.
I know.
I think Facebook has changed some settings recently. Not sure what's going on with them.
Yeah, because we tried to do. I don't know if anybody wants to comment what you thought about our November and December shows. So we did reruns because we'd been doing this for almost 4 years, 3.5 years, and so we did some of our best holiday shows in the past, and we had people like Cody was there once, kind of was watching and answering questions. So if any of you guys saw the reruns, let us know what you thought about that. If that was a good experience for you. Let's see. There's more questions here. Bonnie asks about the bitter taste. Okay, we already answered that one. Okay, somebody before Q&A asked about barbecue sauce, maybe Cody's barbecue sauce. So I had a couple questions. Cody, you couldn't find tempeh, so you showed that Light Life Foods tempeh bacon. And have you tried it? I've tried it. I want to see what you think about it.
Not yet. I just got it, picked it up yesterday and haven't made it yet, but I might do that today.
Okay.
Dinner.
So my family your family's different because you've been vegan for a long time, but my family's been vegan for quite a long time. And so my daughter's never had meat or anything like that. So we don't desire things like that. But I know that it seems like a national pastime to eat, bacon. So if you're cooking for others, or if you have that kind of flavor that you are looking for, then, you can make your own, or you can buy products like this. But as we mentioned, the vegan bacon tends to be very high in sodium. Just imagine what the dead animal bacon is in sodium. That's even higher, right? So,
right. Oh yeah. The carcinogen.
And
processed meat, it's a carcinogen. It will increase your risk for colon cancer by, I think, 11% per slice.
Wow. Right. It's a type 1 carcinogen, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like asbestos. Same.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. I'd like to have neither one.
Me neither.
I think I'll eat vegan today.
Exactly. I don't think that tempeh bacon would be like a 1-for-1 as far as the flavor. It's the flavor. No, I take that back. The flavor is pretty similar. It's the mouthfeel that's going to be really different from a piece of bacon. I was really little the last time I ever had bacon, but I remember it's very greasy and crunchy and salty. So tempeh isn't going to be a perfect replacement. Like you can't just pick up a piece of tempeh bacon. I've eaten that one brand, Cody, that you have. I've tried it. It's really good on a BLT sandwich. Perfect. You don't really notice a difference, but just picking it up and having it with like your scrambled tofu or something, it's not the same. So there are people who like bacon, I think, because of the mouthfeel and the big hit of fat and salt. So tempeh bacon's not going to be a perfect replacement, but because we'd have to add so much more fat, right? To make anytime you try to make a fake meat, you have to add tons of fat and salt to it to actually make it similar to the actual meat experience, which, we're not trying to add a ton of fat and salt, right? So we're trying to keep that low.
But let's be clear, it's not that we're not advocating these fake meats, but if you are eating the fake meats, in every way, they're a better choice than the actual meat.
Right.
They tend to be high in sodium. They're not health foods, but if you had to have bacon, then the plant-based bacon, the way Carolyn makes it or Cody makes it, is a better choice. Or even if you buy what Cody had, the Light Life bacon is still a far better
Right.
choice. It's not a carcinogen.
Fake and
Right.
bacon, as they call it. Fake and bacon.
Bacon, right, right. Um, Well, and especially for those of you who are new, let's take a moment and just talk about our background. So we are all Food for Life instructors, and some of us probably don't know what that is. So Neil Barnard, he's a fabulous gentleman, Dr. Neil Barnard. If you're not familiar with him, look up pcrm.org. It's his organization that we're lucky to be part of, and we're all Food for Life instructors. So Cody, what can you tell us all a little bit about what is a Food for Life instructor?
Sure. So I think, do they just have one class a year? Or is it two now? But
I think it's two.
is it two? And they, I think, generally take around 30 people worldwide, and it's quite a rigorous application process. But I think they only had taken, is it 30%? Is that right? So what I heard they deal up. So quite a few people actually apply, but a low amount actually get in. So I feel very fortunate that I was able to get in. And I've been a Food for Life instructor for, 5 years now. And so basically we went in and we went to Washington, D.C. They now do online training now as an option. But when I got accepted, that was not an option. So I went, and you guys both went to D.C. as well, for like 3-day full training with Dr. Barnard and all his wonderful registered dietitians and nurses and other doctors. And we got training to teach all these great classes. We have wonderful curriculum. We have like a diabetes class or curriculum. It's more than one class that we can do. Fighting cancer. There's like healthy heart. That's one of my favorites because I'm an old cardiac nurse. But there's just multiple ways or multiple types of classes that we can do. We can do them online or in person. And it's a lot of fun. We do like 1 to 3 cooking demos, food tastings, provide research about the food, the reason why we eat this way, whole food, plant-based with the power plate and everything. So we promote eating, fruit, vegetables, legumes, whole grains. We try to limit, of course, the fat content to less than 3 grams per serving, because that's when you see disease reversal. And yeah, it's just been a wonderful program. And we get to meet people like Philip and Carolyn, that I would have never normally met. So it's just been such a privilege to work with you guys, and a lot of fun doing the So Many Cooks in the Kitchen together.
Food for Life is an amazing program, and take a look at fflclasses.org. Some of our instructors offer online classes, and otherwise see if there's something in person. And they tend to be longitudinal classes where we meet for 5 to 7 times. And we have a kids class, which I've taught a bunch. Carolyn teaches a lot. Cody's in the classroom with kids. I'm sometimes in the classroom with kids. And then we have classes just to stay healthy, and then we have classes for diabetes. It's called the Diabetes Initiative. So if you have diabetes, it's a way of. Did you guys know? It's kind of interesting. It's not kind of. It's very interesting that if you are diabetic, and what's the percentage of us who are diabetic in the country?
It's pretty high.
Yeah, I want to say over 40% or something.
I think it's pretty close to 40% of people who are type 2 diabetic or have metabolic syndrome and don't know they're headed toward diabetes. I think it's pretty close to 40%.
Yeah.
And so if you become diabetic, you can go on the American Diabetes Association diet, which is calorically restricting. You can't have pasta, this, that, and the other thing. Or you can go on our program, and it's the same prescription for whatever, for staying healthy, for managing, maybe possibly reversing cancer, diabetes. And our prescription is eat from the power plate as much as you want. If you're diabetic, just be a little bit careful of a couple foods. Pineapple and watermelon are pretty high glycemic foods, but you can eat those too. Just don't eat tons of it. So enjoy as much food as you want. Avoid oils and nuts. So nuts is another issue. All I'll say about nuts is nuts do have some health properties, but if you're eating nuts, eat small quantities and don't snack.
One handful, not 2 handfuls. 1 handful a day.
So we highly recommend the Food for Life program. I feel so lucky that I get to teach Food for Life classes. Bonnie mentioned that they met Dr. Loomis, and we all are really excited because we got to hang out with James Loomis. And I just got another email from him yesterday because it turns out he's a bibliophile, and I am too. He reads voraciously, but topics other than food and nutrition. We were talking about, he's read maybe more than I have about Indian culture. We were talking about some books about historical fiction. He had read them already. So he's a totally awesome guy. And we should do a plug for his show. He has a show called Doc and Chef, and we'll probably post something on Facebook about their show. So one of our peers, another Food for Life instructor, Karen Dugan, I think her last name is Dugan, she has this unique plant-based institute in St. Louis. So Jim flies to St. Louis a couple times a month, I think, and they do a show, and she does all the culinary stuff, and he does all the medical stuff, kind of like Carolyn and Dr. Strickland, Brian. Carolyn has this awesome husband who gave a lot of talks on this cruise that we were just on. So yeah, so Dr. Loomis, so Bonnie goes to, so Barnard Medical Center is a wonderful, James Loomis is the head of, he's the medical director of the Barnard Medical Center. If you're looking for doctors, if you've seen my film Code Blue, doctors in medical school just don't get much information about nutrition. Right. And if you're looking for that, we have several websites on PCRM. One is Find a Doctor, pcrm.org/find a doctor or something like that, and then Find a Dietitian. I don't know, Carolyn and Cody, if you know that, that's new, the Find a Dietitian, but this is a database, so you can say, I'm in Omaha, Nebraska. Who are the doctors and dietitians near me who can help? So check that. You have seen that, yeah.
So yeah, we have a similar show on YouTube to the Doc and Chef. It's just Strickland's and Friends, a seasonal whole food plant-based cookbook. It's a really long title, but sometimes we have friends come over and cook with us. So it's Strickland's and Friends. I'm actually going to do a video, hopefully later today when we're finished with this, on Instant Pot mashed potatoes and cauliflower, because it's just so fast and easy and really good with tempeh meatloaf. So I'm going to try to make that this afternoon and post it on our YouTube channel.
I have a couple more questions, but I think I want to do, let's do the drawing. So we have, I'm about to sneeze, excuse me. I think I'm about to, excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you. So,
let me tell you who I have written down.
Not yet. Okay. Yeah, actually, go on. Okay,
I got 9 people written down. I put them in the chat too, Dilip, so you have their names. But I have Annette, Hyuni, Bonnie, Sandra, Krista, Linda, Rochelle, Gigi, and Wendy.
So if we forgot your name, if you asked a question since we started the Q&A, please send a quick message. This is your last chance to ask a question to be in the drawing. And if you win, we need your mailing address, but please don't post it on YouTube. Please send an email to me. Karen is the one who will fulfill it. So send it to both Karen and myself. And you can reach any of us by using our first name. And there's one counter example because we have 2 Denises, but they're not on the show, so I won't talk about that. But otherwise, if you want to reach Carolyn, it's Carolyn@somanycooks.com. If you want to reach Cody, it's Cody@somanycooks.com. If you want to reach me, it's Dilip@somanycooks.com. And let's see. Oh, and that follows you. So that's cool. And Bonnie just subscribed to you as well, Carolyn. So
thank you.
All right, so let me do the drawing. Last chance for questions. We have 9 people, and we always used to do a trial run, but my daughter said that's not fair, so we don't do that anymore. Right. So
I agree with her.
Do you? Okay. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to do a drawing. Cody, should we do the soy foods cookbook first or the magazine subscription?
The cookbook.
What was that?
Do the cookbook.
All right. So the first winner, who's going to be the winner of the cookbook, I'm going to draw a number from 1 to 9, and then Cody will read off whoever that number is. And the one rule we do have is if we draw the same number twice, we draw again. The same person doesn't get both prizes. Okay. And Carolyn's mom won once or twice. Now she watches, but she no longer enters because she has Carolyn. By the way, your mom is so nice, Carolyn. I knew she was nice, but
thank you. She's very sweet, isn't she?
She's very sweet. I got to hang out.
Did you get some of her cake? Did you get to some of the cake she made? It was totally vegan. It was really good. Of course,
I wouldn't have eaten it otherwise. Yeah, the week before the cruise, Anu, my daughter, and I came down to Alabama because Carolyn's daughter, who looks just like you, Carolyn, got married. We really enjoyed that.
My mini me. Yeah.
All right, 1 to 9, right, Cody?
Yep.
Okay, the first winner is number 8. I'm using random.org, so number
Okay.
8. So who's
Yes.
8?
Gigi.
Gigi, congratulations. Let me just write that down so we'll know that. So I'll say
Mhm.
Gigi, congratulations on winning the soy cookbook. Please email Dilip at somanycooks.com and Karen at somanycooks.com with your address. Okay, so congratulations, Gigi, and please confirm that you're here and that you heard that you just won. So Gigi, do send a course, because if you're not here, then you won't be able to get the book. So, oh, there we go. Okay, good. So Gigi, please let us know where you are, by the way. I mean, don't post your address, but maybe you can post what state you're on. But do email Karen and me your mailing address and remind us that you won the cookbook. So I'm glad you won that. Lorna Sass has lots of cookbooks. I think she's vegan, right?
Mm,
She's definitely
she
vegetarian.
used to be vegetarian. I think she became totally vegan a few years
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
So,
But before I do the drawing, Carolyn, what does vegan even mean? And then
what
Cody
does
can tell us what whole
vegan
food
mean?
plant-based means.
Yeah. So vegan basically just means no animal products used in your cooking, or also usually in other parts of your life, like not
Leather.
using leather, suede, things like that. But so whole food plant-based is a little different, but vegan just means avoiding all animal products.
Cody, what's whole food plant-based?
So I kind of mentioned that with the Food for Life program. So we focus on food, kind of, like fruits, veggies, whole grains, legumes. We try to do the healthy vegan food. Ours is vegan, but we don't really we try to avoid like highly processed foods or foods really high in sodium or saturated fat. It's not like we're going to show you how to make like potato chips with all the added fat and all the oil. We want to do we want to do things that are health promoting. Now,
Right.
potato chips are vegan, but they're not necessarily like whole food plant based. They're not healthy.
Oreo cookies, same
Right.
way. They're vegan, but they're not necessarily. You can't look at them and see a plant anywhere in an Oreo cookie. So yeah.
Mhm.
I always
A lot
think
of
whole food plant-based is always vegan, but vegan isn't always whole food plant-based.
You got it.
and,
That's
That
perfect.
makes any
and a
sense.
lot of people, I'm one of them. Before I became a Food for Life instructor, my motivation was ethics. I'm an ethical vegan, and then later on, I learned all the health benefits. So,
Right.
and it's the best thing for the environment, right? So, so there are a lot of vegan. I mean, there are vegans out there who are vegan just for vegan food and not necessarily for health.
Right.
But thankfully, veganism is a fabulous first step towards health. And then you want to cut down your oils, added fats, and it's not that you never have foods like like cake or vegan cake, or I never eat non-vegan food under any conditions, but I do sometimes eat non-whole food plant-based food. And
Right.
I've seen you, Carolyn, and you, Cody. I know you sometimes also aren't 100%, but
Right.
there are people who are 100% whole food plant-based or pretty close. I'm not one of them, but I try to eat as
Most of
much
us
as I
aren't
can.
perfect. Most of us aren't perfect.
Right. And yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. And if I
Yeah.
was looking for like disease reversal of some kind, I would
Right.
probably be a
Right.
lot more strict. So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think perfect is the enemy of good. I think it's good to be good. Good most of the time.
Yeah.
Let's do the
Not
second
perfect.
drawing. The second drawing is a wonderful magazine called Veg News. I know the publisher name is Colleen Holland, and she's a wonderful person, and she's been putting this magazine out for um, 15, 20, more than that, 20, 25 years. I remember I met another partner in the magazine at a vegetarian festival in, I think, Pennsylvania. And I was on a panel discussion about vegetarian societies, and I was publishing a newsletter. And we were discussing, our newsletter is really that important now that Veg News was about to come out and there were other magazines. So anyhow, it's a great magazine, Veg News, and it talks about the vegan world. It's not so much focused on whole food plant-based, but some of the articles are about whole food plant-based. So the winner of the 1-year subscription is number 9. So who's number 9?
That's Wendy.
Congratulations, Wendy, for the Veg News subscription. Oh, and you're a new viewer, Wendy. So does this cement you as being a regular viewer now with us? let us know, not here, but let us know what state you're in, and then of course, please, Wendy, email Karen and me your mailing address. And curious to know where you are. It's too bad that we have a regular viewer who doesn't seem to be on from the Caribbean. We were just in the Caribbean. Let's take a second, maybe Cody, tell us about the cruise we just went on. It was the first, maybe annual one, and can you tell us about a little bit about what we did?
Yeah, well, we all gave some talks, and it was a lot of fun. We stopped at 3 different islands. We stopped in the Bahamas and the Grand Caymans and Cozumel, and we did some fun excursions and got to sample some of the local vegan food. And it was really, really a lot of fun to see what kind of wonderful restaurants they had. And just met a lot of wonderful people. Mike and Denise Young were the coordinators of the big cruise event. It's called the Health Optimization Cruise. And I think there's like over 70 attendees for that. And we had just some wonderful dinners. It was really fun to see what the chefs would come up with. And a lot of it was raw vegan food. So they put together things I would have never even imagined. And it was just really fun to try a lot of different things. So, and fun to hang out with you too.
And Cody and I went snorkeling with stingrays off the Caymans. Ooh, that was fun.
But yes.
We laughed and screamed the whole time. It was, it was hilarious.
Ava gave a great talk about veganism and about benefits to the environment and to animals. It was a very nice talk. I showed my film Code Blue. Cody and I gave a talk about how do you translate all this to the kitchen. By the way, any viewer, I don't think, Cody, you'd mind if we did this. Any viewer who contacts either Cody or me, we could send you the presentation. It's a detailed presentation of what to do in the kitchen. Would that be okay, Cody?
Yeah, probably want to email Dilip right now. I'm having email problems.
Okay, yeah. So I'm happy to share that presentation if anyone wants to see that. And then I got to do a cooking demonstration working with beets. So I showed how to make jerk beets, and it was wonderful working with the professional staff at the cruise. It was really nice. So we had a great time, and I gave Carolyn and Cody a scare. They thought I missed the boat.
Yeah, thought we left you in Nassau in the Bahamas.
It was a silly joke went awry because suddenly you weren't getting my texts, and I said I'm here or whatever, and they never got that, and they thought and then they knocked on my door and I didn't hear them, so so they thought they left me behind.
And I did a talk on why change is hard and how to deal with making changes, why change is so hard. So with my husband, who is a physician. So yeah.
And I forgot to mention that Brian, so Carolyn's husband, who's on the medical faculty of University of Alabama, he gave a series of fabulous talks, just like Cody's talk was fabulous from her nursing background, and Carolyn really supplemented very nicely Brian's talks. Gigi is saying, I'm a new viewer too. I found your channel this past week and saw you had the Tempeh show. Set an alarm. Great. So please watch. Let's talk about our upcoming shows. One thing really cool is we love doing these live shows, but we took advantage. The first time the three of us met, and we said, when will we meet again? So we recorded the March show, the three of us. We made pancakes. And so that's done. And we'll throw that into all the other live presentations, and you'll see us. We'll say, we recorded this in January. We were in Florida before we got on the show.
In an Airbnb.
Yeah, I got to see what we use, right?
It's hilarious. Yeah. Making pancakes in a bowl as big as a kitchen sink. Yeah, it's pretty funny.
So our upcoming show next month, we're doing sweet foods for Valentine's Day. So many sweet foods, and us, we're going to do something healthy and without unhealthy added sugars and things like that. And then the March show is going to be, we've already done is pancakes. These guys are experts at pancakes. I'm not. In my house, it's my daughter. So I made a citrus, because citrus is my thing. So I made a citrus compote, citrus strawberry compote. We had wonderful fresh strawberries from Florida. Nope. I hope you guys can all hear us. I think we're still have audio. So the two, and then the show for the kids coming up, I think late January, early February, is going to be on soups. So the kids are going to make some soups. So those are our upcoming shows. So those of you who are new, welcome. I hope that you join us every month. And if you have to miss the live show, you can always watch it. You can always watch it on recording, because it's available afterwards. We'll try to figure out a way to get the recording on Facebook so people can see it there, or at least a link. Here's a note for Cody.
Oh, wow. Congrats. That's exciting.
You've got to, Bonnie, join Nurses Nutrition Network, which Cody, maybe you can share a little bit what NNN is.
Oh, yeah. So, Bonnie, if you're interested, you can go to pcrm.org and search Nurses Nutrition Network, and you can sign up for that. And I'm one of the co-leaders along with Tammy Robertson. She's also a Food for Life instructor and a nurse, and she's down in the Florida area. But we do quarterly meetings, and then we go to the International Conference on Nutrition Medicine in Washington, D.C. through PCRM. And we host a nurses luncheon, and it's a lot of fun. So if that interests you, I suggest that you go check it out and stay connected with me. That'd be great.
Hayuni mentioned she's looking forward to the next show. So we have a huge repository of more than 3.5 years worth of shows. So if you want to, you can go in. We're working on a search function, so you can search on, if you really loved what Cody did and you want to see all of her recipes, we will soon have a way within a month, I think, where you can say, show me all of Cody's recipes, or show me all recipes that have tempeh in it, right? And you'll be able to do that. So do come to SoManyCooks.com and you'll see the recipes. I think it's SoManyCooks.com/shows. Couple quick questions is mustard. So one of you, I think it was Carolyn, talked about it. There's different kinds of mustards. Would you like to share a little bit about that?
Sure. So my recipe calls for regular yellow mustard, the kind that you can find pretty much in any grocery store, possibly even gas stations. So everybody's got yellow mustard. And then you could use stone ground mustard, which is a little higher end, more of a strong flavor. Dijon, I mean, really whatever flavor profile you're trying to go with, but making something that's just sort of a basic meatloaf, I just went with the regular yellow mustard. But seriously, what we're trying to do is cover up the bitterness of the tempeh, but also just add a lot of flavor. So infusing it all with flavor. So really any kind of mustard would work in this recipe.
Right, and then Cody talked about barbecue sauce. So barbecue is popular in many parts of the country. Here in North Carolina, it's popular. We have a vegan restaurant that makes people love the barbecue. I just don't like the flavor of barbecue, so I think my daughters had it. I tried it. I don't like barbecue. It was funny, years ago before I was married, I had a young lady we were kind of interested in each other, and she visited me, and she brought a gift, and she knew I was vegan, and she brought a gift of barbecue sauce, and it had some dead animal product in it.
Oh.
So I thanked her. I didn't say anything, but I of course didn't use it.
So what I actually use is Stubbs. I use
I've
this a
seen
lot.
that.
Stubbs Original, because it's the lowest in sugar of any of them that I've found. And it doesn't have any animal products at all. So gluten-free. It's mostly just tomato puree, distilled vinegar, molasses, salt, spices, black pepper, chili powder. I mean, it's lower in. Most of them are really high in sugar that I've seen. Like this one only has 5 grams of total sugars in it, where most of them are like 12, 14. I mean, just huge amounts of sugar. So this is the lowest that I've seen. And I don't use much, but just a coating of it.
And I have to say that I just got the email from Wendy that you won. So I can't remember who else was the second winner, but please do email us.
Gigi, yeah.
Do email us, Gigi. So we hope you enjoyed the show. Cody or Carolyn, did you want to add anything more?
When are we on next month? What day? February 10th. Something.
I think it's the 10th. Pretty sure it's the 10th. It's before Valentine's Day.
Okay. Yep. And we're doing so many sweet things.
I'm thinking of making maybe some sort of compote, or maybe some sort of a cooked fruit dish or something like that.
Something with citrus, probably, right, Philip?
I love citrus. I have to say this. Those of you who've been watching know that I could die for triple cross tangerines, and I got an email from the folks who grow triple cross yesterday, and I started some back and forth. I said, can you please send me a picture of what those little trees look like right now? Can you send me a picture of what the oranges look like right now?
No.
I can't wait. If they send me some pictures, I'm going to be over the moon. That's going to be great.
That's hilarious. I bet they're not little trees right now. They're probably pretty big if they have fruit on them.
Well, it surprised me because they have a Facebook page. Hi, Sarai. We showed our film on the cruise. There was one picture on their Facebook page which showed the trees were surprisingly small. They were smaller than me. They were like less than 5 feet, I think, and they were just
Wow.
loaded with triple cross tangerines. So
Cool.
can you imagine? And I wrote to her. I said, "Can I come visit you some year? Because I really want to go and see it, see triple cross. I love triple cross. It's the best citrus."
We know that. We know that. One thing, if you know Dilip Barman, you know he loves triple cross.
I practically jumped yesterday when I got an email from them. It's like, yikes. Because they grow lots of, and I talked at the store that I shop at, the co-op. I asked, they grow other things. They grow this thing called lemonade lime or lemonade lemon,
Mm.
which is a very sweet lemon. So I asked at my co-op if they could carry it, and they said, let us know what you want. We'll try to do a special order for you.
Oh, wish we could get it here in Montgomery. We don't have a co-op, so that'd be nice, though.
Cody,
Oh,
do you have
well.
any parting words?
No, I just really enjoyed the show today, and thank you for everybody for watching. All our newbies, thank you for joining us. And yeah, just stay connected, and hopefully you guys can join us again in February.
It was cool because I know, Cody, you were telling me you're not a big fan of tempeh, and so it's a matter of trying something. In my house, my daughter does not like tempeh. My wife and I love tempeh. I made the tempeh I made. I ate just before the show, and today I was talking to my daughter about this because she doesn't like tempeh. My wife can't eat tofu. And one thing we didn't mention is if you can't handle tofu, tempeh is something almost anybody can digest. You usually don't have any gas or any digestion problems. But what I asked my daughter is that a recipe I haven't made in a long, long time is chop some tempeh and put it in a marinara sauce. And I asked my daughter if I did that and I put plenty of marinara where you couldn't really taste the tempeh, would she try it again? And she said, yeah, I'll try that, Daddy. So I'm going to do that sometime
Steam
soon.
it first, then marinate it, and she might like it a lot better.
Gigi is asking, yeah, steam it. So I emailed you, but I've forgotten if you said to email Carolyn or Cody. No, just email me, but I haven't gotten your email, Gigi. So it's you misspelled my name. It's D-I-L-I-P, D-I-L-I-P, and Karen, K-A-R-E-N. So Gigi, it's Karen. Gigi is Dilip, D-I-L-I-P, and Karen. And if you email me, I'll be glad to send you Cody and my presentation. Bonnie, Triple Cross comes from a farm in California, and if you have a co-op, you could see if they would carry it. It's called Buck Farms, and it's in California. Do a Google search or do an internet search on Triple Cross citrus. And I've never had limpy, bumpy mandarin oranges. So Gigi, if you can, when you email me, send a picture of them. There are some tangerines that have bumps on them, like pixies. Pixies are really good, and maybe locally you call them limpy, bumpy, but they're called pixies. So, all right. Thanks, everybody. It was delightful to see you, and hopefully you all got the recipe document. We're so lucky that Brenda Davis, my favorite nutritionist, she always adds an appendix. And I have to say this about this too. Brenda said that she doesn't particularly like tempeh, but because of the show, she did a little bit more exploration, and she came up with some really good recipes as well. So some people just don't eat that much tempeh. It's not that you have to eat tempeh, but I love it.
It's good for your microbiome every now and then to change up what you're eating. So, it's a good idea.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, everybody. Stay in touch, and we'll see you just in a few weeks for our February show for sweet foods. That'll be lots of fun.
If I figure out what I'm making.
Yeah. Take care.
Bye.
So many cooks in the kitchen, so many recipes to share. So many cooks in the kitchen with meals for you to prepare. We've got fruits and grains, veggies and beans, more healthy food than you've ever seen. So many cooks in the kitchen, plant-based meals to prepare. So many cooks in the kitchen with ideas we're happy to share.